Hi folks, it's been a while since I've done the basic setup tutorial. There has been some changes to the Virpil software, so it's worth showing you this again. Today we're going to look at setting up a stick. Now if you have multiple sticks, it's very important you only have one connected at a time. If you have a left and a right setup, only have one plugged in at a time. So let's kick things off. Right, so yet again, we've got the standard warning. It's basically telling us that we have more than one device connected at a time. And as stated, it is very prudent to remove and only work on one device at a time during initial setup. Later on, you might be able to get away with it without doing that. So just clear that by hitting OK, and then I'll disconnect my throttle. So only have the stick connected, as you can see here. So if the firmware revision, that's the code on the actual device, is not the same as the software revision because it comes a match set, then it's going to throw this version not supported message here. Now this little box here is our selector. This is what we're interested in. If I click on it, it tries to connect to the device and goes, oops, we're not running the same builds, so we need to sort that out. So first thing we need to do is a firmware update. Now, if your device already has the same firmware, you can skip this step and go to the next step, okay? Only necessary if they're not matching. So go down here to the firmware tab. Make sure you're pointing at the right location. Mine's definitely is because it's named by the folder. And then click the auto start firmware update. I'll just go through a bunch of steps automatically itself. And that's the first part done. When it's completed and successfully done the firmware update, you'll see this new profile and the firmware revision showing up. Okay, so we've reflashed the firmware on our joystick and base, and it's showing up with the VPC new profile and the revision of the firmware we just put onto it. So we go down to the profile tab. Make sure, of course, you've got this selected, just in case it's not. Right, now we have to pick out what hardware combination we have. Now, this is where some people make mistakes. And yeah, it's easy to click the wrong thing. At the end of the day, your joystick should be in front of you right now. So you need to select the right base. Now for me, I'm on a CM2 base today. It shows me a picture of it there because that's what I have. And then you got to select your the grip that's going on top of it. Now I have a CM2. It shows you a picture of it there. So all you got to do is make sure you pick the right base and the right type of grip. Okay. Now, if you're using a dual stick setup, if you're one of the Elite Dangerous Starship Citizen dudes who's got like a left and a right stick, hoss-ass dudes, then if you're setting up your left stick, click on this button. If you're setting up your right, click on this one. Now, by default, I don't click on either of them because I'm only using this one stick, so I don't need to set it as left or right. So just be aware that if you're updating from a previous version and it was set at left, click on it. It was set at right, click on it. Because if this string, and this is what sets your identifier string in Windows for the device, this doesn't match what you currently have, then you could have issues with games not recognize it. I think it's a new joystick and that could be a pain. So if you before you start if it had left in it or right in it, make sure you tick the appropriate button. Next up, the split to virtual device by 32 buttons. This was put in as a software fix for dealing with games like Elite Dangerous or Starship Citizen that don't allow but more than, well, in Starship Citizen I think it's 50 buttons, but Elite Dangerous definitely 32 buttons on a device, which basically means if you click on a logical button higher than 32, it just doesn't see it. Now this feature is going to be removed. Okay, I'll let that sink in for a second. Then the future firmware revisions is not going to have this in it, basically because it can be quite unreliable. It works some of the time and doesn't work others, and it's not a 100% working fix. So they're going to pull it. So don't bother ticking this anymore because newer firmwares aren't going to support it. And the next one up, which is applicable to grips, is if it's a if it has a lock. If it has a lock switch on it, that would be, for example, the the VFX grip has a little lock nut on it to actually lock it and remove the twist capability. There's two versions of that, by the way. One has it and one doesn't have a twist. But if you want to not use your twist, then click on that. And I think it disables the axes for you, Alex, so it won't be a problem for you. You won't get random inputs from it. So that's it. Just make sure you select the right base, the right grip, and if you are going to be using left or right, say for example you're setting up one stick at a time, like you should be doing. Don't try and do it two at once. Set up your left grip and stick, then disconnect it, connect your new one, go through this again, and then do the same and select right. Okay, shouldn't be rocket science. And like I said before, if you do make a mistake here, it is possible to go in and change this, so it's not carved in stone. Don't panic. So create profile. And that'll send this information to the device. It'll also wipe the calibration, so calibration will have to be done after doing this. And now you can see it has the correct identifier name. It's a VPC stick MT50CM, which is what my config is. So that's the profile part done. Right, now the last step we have to do is to calibrate it. And what calibration does, it basically works out the maximum, minimum, and center values for an analog axis and then programs that into the device so as the device can return the right values whenever you're moving the stick. Okay, so if we go to the axes tab, now I only have 3 axes on this. I've the brake lever on the grip, and I have the 2 axes, the X and Y, on the base. So to calibrate, just click the calibrate axis button. And now what I'm physically going to do with my stick is I'm going to move it all the way forward, all the way back, all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and then I'm going to go around and do the diagonal corners. And I'll leave it in the center position. Now the other one to do is the grip axis. That's a little gripper on it. Now if you happen to have a grip that has a twist axis, you now want to twist the axis. You want to move it all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Do it a couple of times, leave it in the center. If you have, for example, the Alpha as it stands currently at the moment that has the analog mini stick, then you want to do the same with it. You want to push the mini stick all the way to the top, all the way forward, all the way back, all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and then roll it round the diagonals and then leave it in the center position. Just take your hand off the stick all together, give it a second or two to settle, and then click save. All right, just test it out here. Yeah, looks good. That's all good. So there you go. There's the basics, your basic setup done now for your device so that it's ready to be used. One thing I'll just show you here, and this is in light mode, okay? So this is what this little indicator up here means. It's like a little push button toggle. So this is light mode that has the very basic stuff you need to set your gear up. I normally run this in pro mode, so I'm just going to click pro. And you can see there's a lot more information and stuff now, and you can do a lot more configuration options. But your average user, if they're just doing basic setup, they only need the light mode, and it gives you enough to get the device set up and ready to go. I hope this helps.